America's #1 radio show, The Rush Limbaugh Show. Let's go to Eddie in Elko, Nevada, home of Harry Reid's federally subsidized Cowboy Poetry Festival. Eddie, great to have you on the show with us.
Hey, Mark, thank you. Yeah, the Cowboys are in full force out here. It's kind of weird. Every time you see them at the gas station, you're like, hey, are you here for the... and they're like, yep. So... pretty interesting.
So the entire economy is now dependent on the federally funded cowboy poetry. Give me a home where the buffalo roam and the federal check comes in the mail. Who would ever thought the American cowboy would be reduced to the federal dole? What's on your mind, Eddie?
Well, when I was listening to you talk earlier in the show about this, the premise of hope, when you were looking at that poster, and I work for a delivery service, and I deliver to a lot of rural areas, and a specific area that I deliver to is an Indian reservation. And in my business, having street signs and a decent road are very imperative because of the area that I'm at. And I was speaking with a few of the folks in that area, and I was like, hey, what would be great is if you guys had some sort of street signs, because it's driving me absolutely nuts, no pun intended, that I can't find half of these the locations for the packages I have to deliver, and then they complain. And it just kind of was an epiphany to me that the culture that's being created, because they literally said, well, we're waiting for money from the government before we can get street signs. And it just made me sick to my stomach, Mark, that the culture that the Democrats are creating, it's not a proactive one. Hope, there's an opposite to everything. And the opposite of hope is action, in my opinion. I mean, if I sit around and I hope that my welfare check comes in today, or I hope that my food stamps get deposited today, or I hope that the front door gets fixed on my rental, my low income rental, so that the heat doesn't escape, that I'm not paying for anyway. To me, that just means that you're sitting on your butt and you're not doing anything. And just to kind of, in a nutshell, just to say, I know there's a lot of liberals that listen to the Rush program, and I can just say this wholeheartedly to the entire country, and I can't believe I'm speaking to the entire country, basically. Get off your butt. Instead of collecting a welfare check, waiting for something in the mail without earning it, wait for a pay stub, wait for, being approved for college, and go earn it. Go earn your money. Work hard like the rest of us that get up off our butts every day at 4 o'clock in the morning and earn a living. What are you waiting for?
You put it very well, Eddie, when you say that hope is the opposite of action. And it's true. To go back to those towns in western Iraq I was driving through that I was talking about a couple of hours ago. If you go through in Arab culture is very fatalistic. People sit around saying, well, if Allah wills it, so if you, to go back to the point you were making, why aren't there any street signs? Well, if Allah wills it. And once that kind of fatalism, that inactive fatalism, takes hold here. Obama, in his first so-called State of the Union in January 2009, quoted a girl who'd written to him from some school in North Carolina saying they had peeling paint and the windows rattled because a train went by. This is in a town with able-bodied men with a high level of unemployment. And she's asking for some kind of federal grant system that will put a coat of paint on the walls of her school, or seal the windows. Well, why can't the parents of the children in that school get together and repaint the rooms? Why can't they get together and seal the windows? Why does that require a commissar of education in Washington, D.C., who will arrange a federal painting program from Maine to Hawaii? It's crazy. It's crazy. Even if you thought it was a good idea, it wouldn't work. And the coup, and the absolute coup de grace of that bit that Obama quoted was when he talked about this young girl's hopes. Goes, all we want to do is get an education so we can go on and change the world. Who the hell do you think you are? talking about changing the world when you can't even get someone to paint your classroom. Instead of changing the world, changing the nation, why not try changing, or even changing the state or the county? Why not just try changing things in your little broken down town? Who would hire someone to change the world who can't even organize the painting, the painting of a schoolhouse? And Eddie in Elko, Nevada, is absolutely right that kind of passivity, that kind of fatalism, that kind of, yes, we've got problems, but there's nothing that petitioning the benign King Barack in Buckingham Palace in Washington, D.C. to set up a federal program that will lead to someone sending us a federal grant that will enable something for us in broken down Gulch, Nevada, to put up a street sign is absolutely crazy. What Tocqueville loved about the United States was that small towns govern themselves. That's why they didn't need George III. George III was the Barack Obama of his day, the most enlightened ruler on the planet. And nonetheless, people in self-governing townships in the eastern seaboard colonies of the United States decided they didn't need George III because they could make it happen themselves. And like he said, the opposite of hope is action.